Good morning, students. In today's class of management change in organization, we'll start with the second unit. We have completed the first unit and we'll start with the second unit. The second unit will start with a new concept, that is organizational change. We'll understand what is organizational change, and so we'll highlight what are the various types of change that happen in an organization. So let us understand what is organizational change. In today's dynamic world, change is not just a fact of life, but is essential for survival. So in today's dynamic world, change is inevitable. We have to face change. An organization must develop adaptability to change, otherwise, it will either be left behind or swept away by the forces of change. When an organization is operating in the present scenario in today's world, it has to adapt itself, develop the adaptability, or it will be left behind or swept away by the various forces of change. The concept of the various forces of change will be dealt with in coming classes. But you have to understand there are certain forces of change that are internal forces of changes and external forces of changes. So in an organization has to develop this adaptability, or it will be swept away or left behind by these forces of changes. Now let us understand what the concept organizational change means. According to the Association of Change Management Professionals, organizational change is the practice of applying a structured approach to transition an organization takes to move from a current state to a future state and to achieve expected benefits. So this was the definition that was given by the Association of Change Management Professionals. So let us divide this definition in order to understand it completely. What does definition say? Organizational change is the practice for applying a structured approach. So there must be a structured approach to bring about change in the organization. And this approach to transition means change, an organization takes. Why this structured approach to transition or change is taken by the organization? This is taken by the organization to move from the current state to a future state. So from the present current state that the organization is in, it has to move to a future desired state and to achieve expected benefits. And by moving from this current state to the future desired state, what are the expected benefits the organization is going to have? The whole process is known as organizational change. So organizational change is the practice of applying a structured approach of transition of that an organization takes in order to move from the current state to the future state in order to achieve expected benefits. Now we'll understand another definition in order to clear our doubts regarding the concept of organizational change. The second definition was given by Proxy. Proxy's definition was, it is the process, tools, and techniques to manage the people side of change to achieve a desired business outcome. When we say we want to have organizational change in the organization, it means that we have to also make changes in the behavioral part of the individual or the people side of the organization, because these are the people who will embrace the change. If they don't embrace the change, if they don't accept the change, they resist the change, then the organizational change cannot happen. So Proxy's definition was based on the people side of the organization. It stated that it is the process, tools, and techniques to manage the people side of the change, that is the human resources or the personnel of the organization. People side of the change in order to achieve the required business outcome. So whatever business outcome that the business wants to acquire or get, it can be achieved by managing the people side of the chain. Let me give you an example. Suppose the organization wants to make a technological change in the organization. So organization wide technological change is they want to make. And why they want to make this change? In order to increase the productivity sorry, productivity of the organization. So what happens here? The process definition says the various tools, techniques, and processes used to manage the people side so that the people accept this change. Technological change is known as organizational change. So we have understood the two definitions of organizational change. Now if we say what is organizational in layman's language, in a simple words, we can say organizational change is the process by which organizations move from the present state to some future desired state in order to increase their effectiveness. So this is a simple understanding of the after analyzing both the definitions. So organizational change is the process by which organizations move from their present state to some future desired state to increase their effectiveness. This change is the alteration of the status quo or making things different than before. Since we are moving to a future state from the current state is the status quo. And from this, we are making a movement or alteration. And this is different from what previously it was there. Goal is to find improved ways of using resources and capabilities in order to increase the organization's ability to create value. What is the aim or the goal of organizational change? The organizational change goal is to find improved way of using the resources at the disposal of the company, of the organization, the various resources and capabilities in order to increase the organization's ability to create value. The organization, after undergoing organizational change, should be able to create certain more value. Okay, if it is not able to create, then the organizational change is not successful. So the goal is to use the available resources and capabilities and to increase the organization's ability to create value. So this is the main aim of the organizational change. Organizational change calls for a change in the individual behavior of the employees. As the process definition says, the change has to be brought in the individual behavior of the employees, because these individual behavior of employees is at stake, because if these people do not embrace the change, the organizational change will not happen in the organization. Organizational change is inevitable in progressive culture. So this organizational change is completely inevitable. So it will happen in a progressive culture. Therefore, organizational change is both a process in which an organization changes structure, strategies, operational methods, technologies, or organizational culture to affect change within the organization, and the effects of these changes in the organization are felt on the organization. Therefore, the organizational change is inevitable in the progressive culture. Okay, so this is very important. And this change is the disturbance of the equilibrium, because the present state, the company is already in equilibrium. There is a disturbance in the equilibrium presently prevailing. It may be any alteration that occurs in the overall work environment of the organization. So this is known as the organizational change. This is how the organization wants to move from their uh, present level to a future desired level. As we have given the example of technology, how the technology, if they want plan to implement, the people of the organization, they should accept that technological change. If they don't accept it, it will be difficult for the organization to change. So it is important, and organizational change calls for this inevitable change in the behavior of the employees. Therefore, this organizational change calls for inevitable change in the behavior of the employees. In now, after we have understood what is organizational change, we have to understand the various targets of change include improving effectiveness at four different levels. When we say we want to target change or make organizational change, this organizational change has to be made at four different levels. All the four levels we will discuss. The first level is the human resource change. When we say human resource change, what does it include? Investment in training and development. So whenever we are undergoing organizational change, there has to be proper investment in training and development, because the individual behavior has to be changed, the individual behavior of employees, the skill set of the employees has to change. Suppose if we take the example of technological changes, so training and development of the present employees should be taken into consideration. Investment should be made in the training and development so that they can understand and learn the new technological changes. They can incorporate it, imbibe it, whatever training is required to gain the skills required. All these things can be done. So investment in training and development is very important. Next come socializing employees into the organizational culture. The organization's employees culture plays a very important role in the organizational change. If the organizational culture is such that it is not dynamic, if they are not very receptive, then it will create problems. So we have to socialize the employees into the organizational culture, make it more dynamic, flexible, and adaptive in nature. So when organizational change happens, it will be easier to embrace the change. Changing organizational norms and values to motivate a multicultural and diverse workforce. Every organization, mostly big organizations, are generally multicultural and diverse workforce. They have a multicultural and diverse workforce. So we have to make organizational change in the norms and values to motivate this multicultural and diverse workforce. Next point is promotion and reward system. A proper promotion and reward system should be in place when we want to make organizational change. Because if the promotion and reward system is not in place, then it will create problems. There must be certain rewards for those people who accept or embrace this change. Otherwise, this will be not beneficial. And also, promotion system should be in place so people will accept the change much more properly. Changing the composition of the top management team. Sometimes mostly the change has to be top-down approach. The top management has to decide to bring about change. Sometimes there are certain people in the top management, those who are not proactive and they don't want organizational change. So when there is organizational change, there has to also be a change in the composition of the top management of team. Where if they find that some people in the top management team are against the change, there has to be change in the composition of this top management. So from the human resource changes which are should be kept in mind at this level, human resources level, these are the changes that we are meant to be highlighted, to be targeted. Next come to the functional resources changes. What are the various changes occur in that? Transferring resources to the functions where the most value can be created in response to environmental change. So what we have to do, we have to transfer these resources to these various functions. Suppose it is this for this particular change, this technological change, the IT department requires a lot of resources, because a lot of capital investment has to be made in order to bring these equipments and the software or the other things in order to bring about this technological change. So this transferring of resources to the functions where the most value can be created should be done in order to in response to the environmental change. An organization can improve the value that its functions create by changing structure, culture, and technology. Also, this structure, culture, and technology can be changed in order to improve its functions. Okay, so this is also the functional resources that change include. Now coming to the technological capabilities that changes include. When we do organizational change, what are the technological capabilities that undergo a change? First is efforts intended to give an organization the capacity to change itself in order to exploit the market opportunities. So what are the various efforts intended to give an organization the capacity to change itself in order to exploit the market opportunities? So what are the intended is efforts are required in order to change the capacity of the organization to exploit these market opportunities has to be kept in mind. Then comes adoption and use of new technology. When there is a change, there must be certain changes in the new technologies. So in the old technologies, so there must be an adoption and use of new technologies. Then comes development of new product technologies and changing of existing ones. So whatever the existing old technologies are there, changes are made in that, and new technologies, new products are brought about when we undergo this organizational change. These technological capabilities are a core competence. So these technological capabilities, they provide a core competence to the organization. So these are the various technological capabilities changes, and these include the following points. Now coming to the last level is the organizational capability changes. When we say the organizational capabilities, these are changes that occur when the organizational change occurs are the following. First is changing organizational design. When we do this organization-wide change, there must be change, sometimes maybe change in the organization design. Then the culture and the structure. The organization structure, there may be changes in the organization structure, the changes may be in the culture. Okay, so when we are undergoing organizational change, this type of changes will happen at the organizational capabilities level. Then comes changing strategy. There is a proper strategy that is already working, but when we want to change from the current stage to a future desired stage, there also has to be change in the strategy that we are following. If we and the strategy should be much more aligning with the mission, vision, and the goal of the or objectives of the organization. So as the organization moves with the organization change, then they have to see that also substantial changes should be made as required in the strategy of the organization. And finally, changes that permeate the entire organization. So when there is a changes, it may be at unit based or subunit based or at the organizational level. So the changes that permeate or enter into the entire organization, those things also has to be kept in mind. So these are the various levels at which the organization change makes such effects or effects. And then we have understood what is organizational change. Now we will understand what are the various types of change, organizational change. So we'll understand one by one. The first change that should be kept in mind is planned change. Sorry, planned change. Planned change means it is a change resulting from a deliberate decision to alter the organization. So there is a deliberate decision to alter the organization. So this is a kind of proactive change where the organization itself deliberately from its own side wants to make a decision, takes a decision in order to bring about change in the organization. Planned change is undertaken to improve upon the current ways of operating. Suppose the organization is not satisfied the way which is operating, then it may undergo planned change in order to bring more efficiency and productivity in its processes. Then it is a calculated change. Planned change, since it is planned, it is calculated. It is a calculated change and initiated to achieve certain desirable output performance and to make the organizational more responsive to internal and external demands. So in order to make the organization more responsive to the internal external demand, this planned change is taken, and this change is a calculated change, and this change is initiated in order to achieve this goal of certain desirable output or performance. So there must be a certain goal that this output of performance I want to achieve. In order to achieve that outcome or performance, the company undergoes this calculated change. And why this calculated change is made? This calculated change is made in order to be more responsive to this internal or external demands of the environment. This type of change, this type of change where the future state is being consciously chosen. Here, this is the place where the future state of the organization is consciously chosen. So they are not under force. They deliberately choose this path of change. So this is known as planned change. Now, let me give some examples of planned change. Enhancing the employees' communications. If you want to see that the employees' communication skills are not good, suppose we want to enhance the employees' communication skills, technical expertise, we make more proper building of teams, restructuring of the organization. All this comes under this planned change. So it should be kept in mind that for initiating planned change, the manager needs to constantly watch the changes taking place in the external and internal environment of the business, so that they will be able to make deliberate decisions to take corrective measures. And this will be how this will affect the profitability or the success of the organization, the desirable output or performance that they want to achieve, that can be achieved. So planned change is the deliberate decision to alter the organization. Okay, so these are the ways in which the organization tries to achieve the future desired state. So, and it will be from its consciously from its own side, they will be interested and to accept that future level of future state, and this is consciously chosen. So this is known as planned change. A proper planning is undergone in order to bring about the change in the organization. Now, what is another type of change? That is unplanned change. This is opposite to the planned change. All change that happens in the organization, it may be planned or unplanned. So we'll move to the second type of change, that is unplanned change. What is unplanned change? Unplanned change is imposed on the organization, and it is often unforeseen. So it is something which is imposed on the organization. This is not a deliberate decision of the organization to alter the organization. It is imposed on the organization. The organization cannot foresee, so it is under such situation where it has to undergo certain changes or in the organization. This type of change is rather unpredictable and takes place naturally due to external forces. Here, the organization is forced to change, and it is rather unpredictable nature and takes place due to the external forces of change. Responsive to unplanned change requires tremendous flexibility and adaptability on the part of the organization. Planned change, flexibility and adaptability is required for both planned and unplanned change. But for unplanned change, the company has to be tremendously flexible and adaptable, because this change is something that is unforeseen, unpredictable, and is altogether impacted or imposed on the organization. So when it is imposed on the organization has to be on its toes, has to be flexible and adaptable and bring about the requisite changes. For example, currency devaluation over which it has no control, company has no control, or the organization no control, adversely affects the business of a company that has to import its raw materials. Sometimes mostly the government regulation, changes in government regulations and changes in the external in the economy. These are the external forces that generally greatly impact the organizational this unplanned change. We are given the example of a currency devaluation, so demonetization. What happens if a company is buying or organization is buying raw materials? If there is currency devaluation or demonetization, certain conditions or changes in the government policies are made, then the organization has to be on its toes and to make that changes in the organization. Okay, and the responsiveness to this unplanned change required this tremendous flexibility and adaptability. This is very important to understand. Managers must be prepared, should be on their toes, and this unplanned change, it is mostly profound and traumatic for it is a direct, it is out of the direct control, and the manager has to accept the make changes in the present state of the organization in order to produce a future state that is largely unknown. Here, the present state changes are made and the future state is largely unknown. What happens in planned change? In planned change, the future state was already chosen. We wanted to be in that future desired state. But in unplanned change, the future state is something which is unknown because the change has impacted the organization. The organization is has not foreseen this change, this and this is unpredictable, and this has impacted the organization. So the organization, in order to handle this unplanned change, has to be tremendously flexible and adaptable. Okay, so this is the second type of change. The third type of change that the organization faces is remedial change. What does we mean when we say remedial change? Remedial change are reactionary change. So remedial change means we undergo a certain remedy for the organization when we find there is a certain problem or major issue in the organization. This is somewhat similar to reactive change because this remedial or is a change is a reactionary change that happens in the organization. If the problem exists and the company or the organization feels that a certain problem exists, they will come up with these remedial changes in order to overcome this major problem. This type of change occurs when a problem is identified and a solution needs to be implemented. So this type of change is demanded, is required when a problem is first identified and a solution has to be implemented or a solution has to be come up. The benefit of the remedial change is that judging its success is quick and simple because the problem is either solved or not. The benefit of this remedial change is that we will able to gauge or judge whether its success is quick in a quick and simple way, because if the problem is solved, remedial change has been successful. If the problem is not solved, then the remedial change did not achieve its goal. For example, to improve the poor performance of a product or the entire organization, or to reduce burnout in the workplace. So these are the ways in which mm, the organization are examples of which remedial change of suppose in order to improve the performance of a product, if we find in the marketplace the performance of the product is not good, so we can come up with immediately remedial change in order to improve the performance of a product or an organization. Suppose we find that there is a lot of burnout in the workplace and the people are having this burnout, so we have to come up immediately with the remedial changes in order to reduce this kind of burnout. The reactionary change, this remedial change are mostly reactionary, and this reactionary change may not be ideal, but it is inevitable as these changes are designed to address an issue. These call for immediate action because these changes are designed to address an issue or problem that call for immediate action. That is why these changes are known as the remedial changes. And certain example we have given. Apart from this, some other example is will be to help the organization to become much more proactive. So certain changes has to made of if there is certain budgetary deficits. So remedial changes can be made in order to remove the organization from that problem or that immediate action that is required in order to overcome that problem. That is known as remedial change. Now coming to the fourth kind of change, that is incremental change. When we say incremental change, changes that are directed at the micro level and focused on units, subunits, components within an organization is termed as incremental changes. So here the change is at a micro level and it's focused at a particular unit or a component or subunit in the organization. Changes are brought in gradually and are usually adaptive in nature. Here the changes are very adaptive in nature and the changes happens very gradually. It does not happen spontaneously. So it occurs in a very slow manner, gradually manner. A failed incremental change will cause less damage to the total system than an unsuccessful large-scale change. Obviously, incremental change is beneficial in this way because it will create less problem or less damage to the organization or the total system than an organization-wide change if it fails. So, in this way, the incremental changes are beneficiary to the organization. These changes have evolved over a long period of time and have not happened overnight. So these changes have occurred throughout a long period of time and have not happened overnight. So what happens? Changes are brought in gradually and are usually adaptive in nature. This assumes that the small changes will set in process the large change and lead the system slowly into a healthier direction. These incremental changes are required for that. The benefit is that employees, let me give an example that the benefit an employee that he faces today, what are the benefits the employee faces today, enjoys today, could be cited as an incremental change because this it has started from the time the Taylor's scientific management principle happened. After that, slowly the employee was not considered merely as a cog in the uh, wheel, but it was considered as a part where in which the employee was perceived more as a not as a cog in the wheel, but more facilities were given to the employees, various perks, facilities, all these things were given to the employees. Employees were in the forefront of the organization, and much more importance was given at to how to develop the personnel of the organization. So this change from the time where the employees were considered merely as a cog in the wheel to the present scenario of the employee has undergone a tremendous change, and this change has takes place is an example of incremental change because these changes has taken gradually and the employee so this is an example of incremental change. These changes are evolved over a long period of time and do not happen overnight. It also provides an organization an opportunity to learn from its own experience. So this incremental change also helps the organization to learn from its own experience. And this is the way the employees which were not given importance earlier are now at the forefront of the organization. Apart from incremental change, another type of change is the transformational change. When we say transformational change, it means are those changes that make you completely reshape your business strategy and processes, often resulting in a shift in the work culture. So this will completely transform the organization. Next, these changes may be in response to extreme or unexpected market changes. Sometimes there is an extreme or unexpected market changes, and in order to face these extreme or unexpected market changes, this transformational change has to be taking place. Transformational change can produce a fear, doubt, and insecurity in the staff, and needs to be very well managed because these are completely changes in the complete the business strategy, the processes. So this, when there is a complete change, this transformational change, it creates fear in the or insecurity in the people. So this has to be well managed. For example, let me give an example of this transformational change. Changing an organization structure and culture from the traditional top-down approach or hierarchical structure to a more self-directing team approach. So if these kind of changes in the structure is made on the a culture is made, so these changes completely changes the business strategy and the processes. It's completely shift in the work culture of the employees. So this transformational changes brings about this fear and doubt and insecurity in the minds of the people. So this has to be properly managed. So this is known as transformational change. Another type of change that occurs is developmental change. What happens in developmental change? Developmental changes are those changes that you make to improve the current business procedures. So when we see that there is room or scope for improvement in the current business procedures, we undergo these developmental changes. As long as you keep your staff well informed of the changes, give them the training they need to implement these process improvements, they should experience little stress from this development changes. So we have to keep the staff or the employees very well informed about the changes and give them proper training so that they will embrace these development changes in a much more proper way, and they will be interested as to accept or embrace these development changes. This is very much is required. If we give an example of development changes, it will mostly include improving the existing billing and reporting methods. If we found that this certain way in which we can improve this billing and reporting methods, we can bring about development change. Similarly, updating the payroll procedures or refocusing the marketing strategies or the advertising processes. In this way, we are the examples of the development changes. And this very important is the development changes may be the first step in making the future changes of the business that will help the demands to face the demands of the market and the employees. So these development changes are very important for the organization. So these help to improve the current business procedures and make the company much more able to face the future challenges in a better way. Finally, the last type of change we will read today is transitional change. Transitional changes are those you make to replace the existing processes with the new processes. So here we are transitioning from one process to a new process. Transitional change is more challenging to implement and can increase your employees' discomfort. This transitional change is a little bit difficult because are more challenging in nature. For the implementation of this transitional change is very difficult, a little bit challenging, because it will increase the employees discomfort, because you are completely changing the existing processes with new processes. So the employees has to be well informed about these changes. They have to understand why these new processes are being undertaken and how it will help them. Okay, examples of transitional change include experiencing corporate restructures, mergers, acquisitions. So these type of changes, it will create a lot of confusion and it will be a bit challenging for the organization to employ, because the employees will be discomforted, because when they decide like they will be making corporate restructure, mergers or acquisition, then it will create problem. This transitional phase of dismantling the old system and processes and implementing new ones can be unsettling to the staff. So proper this focus should be on the employees so that the discomfort of the employees is reduced. So this will not be traditional changes. So we have also understood what are the various types of changes. So go through the video. I will be sending you the notes digitally. Go through that. If you have any problem, have any doubt, contact me. No need to panic. Stay at home, be prepared, and finally, thank you for your attention.